Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day to start things off. Bakkt, the cryptocurrency platform created by the operators of the New York Stock Exchange, announced that they are hiring for a number of high positions. In a tweet that happened yesterday, the Intercontinental Exchange's much awaited understatement crypto platform published a list of 8 evidently new vacancies at the company, all of which are based in Atlanta and in New York City. Some of the positions also have Hong Kong, Tokyo, San Francisco, London, Tel Aviv, and Singapore listed as available locations. The page specifies that the company is mostly trying to hire a number of developers, mostly at director and senior levels. So if that is you, you can send them a message. In particular, Bakkt is looking to hire a director of blockchain engineering, a blockchain developer, a director of security engineering, a senior full stack engineer, a mobile developer, and a software development engineer in test. Also, the company is looking for a director of finance and at least one institutional sales member. As Cointelegraph reported on the last days of 2018, the ICE, or the Intercontinental Exchange, announced that it expects to provide an updated launch timeline in early 2019 for the trading, clearing, and warehousing of its Bakkt Bitcoin USD daily futures contracts. The reason I mention this is I've seen a couple of people asking in the last couple of videos, because we were talking about the possibility probably of never seeing a Bitcoin ETF in 2019 because of what the SEC is doing, and a bunch of other things that I told people kind of not to hold their breath for. And I saw people asking me if Bakkt was definitely going to happen. As of now that it stands, there seems to be nothing impeding the eventual launch of Bakkt by the New York Stock Exchange. It's more so as when we get a concrete date. We were told this was going to launch in November and then in December, and I believe that they did the delay in November and December simply because I think they wanted to make sure that, not that we were out of the bear market, but that I assume, it takes time to do things. And then we also had news that they're waiting for proper clarification from the CFTC for, I guess, paperwork. Something that they needed, in order to be able to move forward with the custody and holding of and selling of and buying and trading and selling of daily Bitcoin physical futures, which is also something I assume they needed extra paperwork for. And now it seems that the only reason, and I was talking with my friend about this, and it's very frustrating, the only reason why it appears that Bakkt has not launched, or it was supposed to launch, I think, in officially like 5 days or something like that, why that's not happening now, is because of the government shutdown in the United States. Because we had news at the end of December from the New York Stock Exchange that they were waiting for something from the CFTC that they would have within 30 days. And I think the American government shutdown is actually nearing 30 days. So it appears that that time frame has been pushed back. I feel like right now we are going to have some type of a launch in March. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But as of now, this is definitely going to happen. There's been nothing in the news that tells me otherwise. It is not going to happen, and I thought that I would mention this simply because they put out something yesterday stating that they're looking for 8 new people or 8 vacancies in their company to be able to hire for the Bakkt platform, and therefore they would not have put out news like this if they had not still plans to continue with the Bakkt platform. On that, just a little side note, on the same exact conversation I was having with my friend, we came to the conclusion very quick. We both felt like the cryptocurrency space would be in such a different place, price-wise, if there had been no government shutdown. We would probably have Bakkt launching in a couple of days, which would be very good for the prices. And also, if the SEC had just said yes to a Bitcoin ETF 4 years ago, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, even in 2017, it seems like we're just being held back by very tiny things. It's like trying to hold back an avalanche with a pebble, but for some reason the pebble is just really not giving way. It'll give way eventually. It just we want everything to kind of happen right now. Anyway, the point is, Bakkt is still definitely going to happen. I think there's too much money behind this, especially when we had news a couple of days ago that they had raised, what was it? It was like $170 something million. This isn't Bakkt, in my opinion, is not going anywhere, and it's nice to hear that they are still looking to hire new people to be able to get the engines running. But yeah, let's move on. Next up, here's very, very interesting news. in a move that could help legitimize and give way to wider adoption of cryptocurrencies for a day-to-day transaction on merchant websites. Rakuten, I think I said that correctly, popularly known as the Amazon of Japan, is likely to introduce Bitcoin as one of their means to make payments on their e-commerce website. The Japanese giant known as Rakuten, which is one of the biggest e-commerce and internet companies of its kind, is likely to introduce the cryptocurrency as a payment option sometime in April of 2019 after the expected restructuring of the company. This is a step forward for the company that has been exhibited its inclination to wade, people are hammering in the background again, to wade into the cryptocurrency market after it acquired local cryptocurrency called, I guess a company called Everybody's Bitcoin in August of 2018. The acquisition in late August came after a rising number of foreign merchants and customers linked to Rakuten appealed for cryptocurrencies to be listed as a mode of payment on the e-commerce website. The company said in a statement, the role of cryptocurrency-based payments in e-commerce, offline retail, and in P2P payments will grow in the future. According to the documents released by the company, after the restructuring in April, Rakuten Settlements will be responsible for servicing, processing, and payments of all Rakuten's transactions, including those made by the use of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. I guess the company known as Everybody's Bitcoin itself will cease to be used as a mode of payment after March 2019. Let's see if this actually ends up happening. I remember Rakuten being mentioned in 2018. I'm not sure if it was because of the Everybody Bitcoin acquisition. However, this will be very interesting. We've waited for quite a long amount of time, and I think part of my hope still lies in the fact that Bakkt's other 50% of it is to be not a payment option, but to allow other companies, mega companies around the world, not even just within the United States, to be able to accept Bitcoin. And they said other cryptocurrencies, but focusing just on Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is in the title. We know that Starbucks and Microsoft, and apparently Tesla, as that was leaked, are supposed to be companies that are going to allow Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies maybe as payment. What's interesting is if we can actually get eBay, Amazon, and Google onto that list, that'll be something very significant. To the fact that we have the Amazon of Japan potentially going to be adding Bitcoin as a payment option. You'll see through the rest of this video, crypto's moving forward, even when people say that it's not, or believe that it's not, or just aren't really paying attention to the signs. Crypto is moving forward at a rapid pace, and I think and I hope, because it feels like it could be true, by summer of this year, we should be in a very different place mentally and also economically in the cryptocurrency space, because everything is lining up. It feels like everyone is trying to push through this door at the exact same time, trying to make sure that they are relevant isn't the word that I'm looking for. It's more like everyone's trying to make sure that everyone out there, that they accept crypto, that they're doing this with crypto. If it kind of makes a lot of sense, like everyone's trying to make sure that they have their hand raised already before the teacher even asks a question, so that they can establish themselves as a place where, yeah, we've been doing this since a couple of months ago. We've been accepting Bitcoin before everybody else. Kind of makes sense. Keep in mind, Bakkt news, they're still hiring. The potential for the Amazon of Japan to potentially be accepting Bitcoin, and you'll see through the rest of it. Let's move on, because it does all connect together. Next up, the United Nations has expressed interest in the crypto world, calling virtual currencies the new frontier in digital finance, and hailing the numerous use cases for their support of the technology known as blockchain. In a 2018 year-end report titled Frontier Technologies for Sustainable Development, the international organization said, and I do quote, "Cryptocurrencies represent a new frontier in digital finance, and their popularity is growing. The decentralized networks for cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin being a well-known example, can keep track of digital transactions. They enable value to be exchanged and can give rise to the new business models which would otherwise require significant regulatory and institutional commitments." Hope everyone is paying attention. The UN further noted that both blockchain technology and digital assets have the potential to trigger the next revolution in business models by increasing efficiency in systems, reducing bureaucracy, and improving productivity. The report went on to discuss the use cases of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. They said, and I quote, blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies have many use cases. For instance, there is a value token known as Climate Coin, my goodness, that is going to serve as a basis for the creation of a global market for carbon emissions. It allows the exchange of carbon credits through a peer-to-peer network and enables a direct connection to the Internet of Things. Users can use this system to calculate their carbon emissions and buy carbon credits to offset them, end quote. In contrast, traditional systems rely on a complex reporting structure, the UN noted. Backed by central authorities, they make the finance field prone to bias, where cryptocurrency technology presents the possibility that trust in institutions backed by governments can be replaced by trust in computer code. I was running out of breath. Sorry about that. I'm going to try and work backwards, and this is where it gets very interesting. It says, they use the word trust, somewhere around here. We had information in 2018 that I thought was fairly fantastically interesting and that no one, I think, really caught on to. We had a number of governments coming forward talking about that they were thinking about the potential use, or they were looking into cryptocurrencies. And this is when it was a very big thing amongst governments, where they were talking about that they were going to be creating their own central bank digital currency, which has all been squashed. If you've been paying attention to the last 15 other videos that I was talking about, where we were talking about stablecoins, it appears that stablecoins are the new thing that I think governments are going to try and leech onto. Just my opinion. The entire point why I think, or rather a piece of the pie, at least 10 to 15% of the pie, what it seems like, why we're seeing this huge push by government agencies, and keeping in mind that this is the UN that put out something like this. What it comes down to is that countries do not trust each other, and the way that they have figured out to do this is by implementing or integrating or supporting blockchain / cryptocurrencies, because you no longer have a need to trust another country when everything is on a blockchain, and you can see if this payment happened, where this payment went. I don't know exactly how deep this is going to go. I don't know exactly how ingrained this is going to be in our culture, in our everyday payments, in the life of governments and banks. But I have a strong feeling that this integration has already begun. This is why they're putting out stuff like this when they're talking about a new frontier in digital finance by the United Nations. It all completely adds up, like exactly what I was just saying over here. So if we do enter this world where cryptocurrencies are the main mode of payment, there was someone it was the International Monetary Fund. Also, lining up with the UN talking about it as well. They were talking about the need for cryptocurrencies comes down to the fact that everything will be put onto a ledger. It'll be put onto a blockchain so that everyone can see each other, and kind of there's no longer a need for trust when everything is on a blockchain. You don't have to ask if this actually ended up happening. Everyone will have access to this ledger. And I assume if we get to a world where cryptocurrencies have been integrated, or like governments have their own Bitcoin address or something like that is publicly known, we'll be able to see all the transactions that go in and out, which will also lead to hyper transparency. This is also something that was spoken about before by the International Monetary Fund. Hyper transparency as far as being able to see if we do have some type of a banking crisis, if something should happen with the financial world, we'll be able to see, because we can know exactly who had which address, which Bitcoin address or cryptocurrency address was tied to which organization or to which bank, who had the mismanagement of funds, because everything will be completely tied to them, if that kind of makes a lot of sense. And I guess to finish off the thought bubble that just won't go away above my head, the UN released a paper talking about the future of decentralized networks and how they can be good for the world. It's crystal clear, and I hope it gets clearer every single day. I hope you keep wiping away those smudges on your windows so that you can see how deep that this is going. And I reiterate once again, if crypto was not going to survive, I would see no reason why the United Nations or the International Monetary Fund or just about every other bank that we have out there talking about that cryptos aren't a threat and how much they can help the world, especially when they list the word Bitcoin in their text. That to me is very significant. You may not care for government or government institutions or people who make laws, but if you are into cryptocurrencies, you should still understand the gravity of them actually using the term cryptocurrencies, especially not when they not saying crypto assets or what was the other thing, like it wasn't condescending, but there was some other country who tried to rename cryptocurrencies together. And also when they use the word Bitcoin and they talk about these being a way of transacting value in the future. It's all adding up. It's all in front of our faces. Let's move on. Next up, Co-vesting is a cryptocurrency exchange registered and incorporated in Gibraltar and is now available for customers in Europe. The exchange has launched its Fiat payment gateway that allows customers to buy cryptocurrencies using euros deposited into their accounts. The release of the platform aims to push co-vesting towards being the most secure, transparent, and efficient crypto fiat exchange in Europe. Speaking on the recent unveil of their Fiat gateway, the CEO and co-founder of co-vesting, Dimitrij Pruglo, said that the move will help the traditional finance investors get into cryptocurrency investing easily. The Fiat gateway also complements the presence of multiple crypto-to-crypto exchanges in the market by offering a legally compliant platform to narrow the gap between traditional investing, and digital assets. The CEO further stated, he pat himself on the back. The point is, I don't actually see and did not see any other mention of exactly which cryptocurrencies they're going to be allowing fiat to crypto trading buying pairs to, which I think is kind of a shame. One can assume it'll be the, and I say big four loosely, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. In Europe, there doesn't seem to be as much of an issue with listing things known as securities, as many exchanges in Europe have just kind of listed everything. The interesting point is that I thought it was kind of interesting that Binance announces their fiat to crypto trading pairs and stuff like that, and then we have another cryptocurrency exchange who's also now announcing them. Not affiliated with them, don't know them, have no contact with them. Just thought it was kind of interesting that, and I like to hear that there are new cryptocurrency exchanges. I don't think that the burden should just be put on like 5 exchanges across the entire world. I think we need more platforms like this, and I'm glad that there are new platforms like this opening up. But the more that we have opening up, the more that it just shows me the growing interest in cryptocurrencies and the amount of money that we will be able to have flowing through the market with ease. Because before, last time in 2017, the problem was we had all this money flowing into the market. A lot of cryptocurrency exchanges were completely crashing because they couldn't handle the volume. So this should not logically be an issue if IF, written in the sky in bubble letters, if we have a bull run during this year. Let's move on. This one I actually found, and I mean incredibly, incredibly interesting, and I'll tell you exactly why. Romania has amended its tax laws, allowing it to start taxing gains from Bitcoin investment at a rate of 10%. The improved fiscal code legalization categorizes earnings generated from buying and selling cryptocurrencies as income from other sources, and therefore subject to income taxes, reported by local media. Romanian daily financial newspaper Ziarul Financiar quoted Adrian Benta, a local tax consultant, as saying, now the earnings from Bitcoin are taxed and declared in the annual income statement. Only the earnings or gains, as opposed to revenues, are taxed. There's a photo. Gains from any single transaction which are below 200 Romanian RON, about $50, will not be taxed. Keep that in mind. The article said, however, investors will have to pay 10% tax on crypto earnings that exceed a cumulative 600 RON in a year. That's around $150. Benta told the Bucharest-based publication that the cryptocurrency tax threshold, according to the new legislation, were fair, and I will agree with him to a certain extent. I foresee a future where crypto, maybe certain cryptos, will not be taxed at all. That's kind of how I feel, and I said certain ones for a certain reason. What I think is the most interesting about this is, remember we were talking before about other countries where you are taxed when you buy a cup of coffee, a stick of gum, a pair of shoes, whatever the case might be. I find it very interesting that they decided to make it sure that below 200 Romanian RON, or around $50, will not be taxed. This opens up the door for people to be able to buy things that they normally would with cryptocurrencies, as they are technically, air quotes, swapping out of their crypto into fiat whenever they buy something, that these things will not be taxed. I find that quite interesting. And also the 10% income tax rate, while many people may not be excited about that number, it is far better than the numbers I've seen in other countries at around 24%, 25%, 33%, 39%. And I remember there was one country talking about that they were thinking of taxing crypto at around 55%. So 10% is not that bad, especially when you get into a situation when you are able to legally buy things, unless I'm reading this completely incorrectly, below $50 and they will not be taxed. Thought that was kind of interesting. Once again, tying into everything, we have all these countries and organizations, well, mainly just countries. They're kind of organizations. Anyway, all these countries talking about that, they're coming forward with their crypto rules, because everyone was waiting in 2018 for the US and they still have not come forward. So now we have a situation where everyone is slowly moving forward, talking about what they're going to do with cryptocurrencies. So very good job, Romania, on finally getting it together and not waiting on other country. Not even an S at the end of that, because we all know what the deal is. And also tying into everything. Everything is happening at the exact same time. Everything is converging into this 2019 period, especially with the UN. But let's continue to move on. To kind of finish things off, financial authorities in the Netherlands are planning a licensing scheme for crypto exchanges and wallet service providers to prevent money laundering and terrorism financing. Die Nederlandse Bank, or the DNB, the nation's central bank, and the Netherlands Authority for the Financial Markets, or the AFM, published a report earlier this week suggesting that fiat to crypto exchanges and custody solutions providers must be licensed, as cryptocurrency can carry high financial crime risks, end quote. They said these risks must be addressed effectively, which can be achieved as a result of the international coordination of the countermeasures that AMLD5, the fifth European Anti-Money Laundering Directive, provides. The two authorities said that they are recommending the licensing regime instead of a registration system because it allows pre-market entry assessment to know whether involved parties will comply or are able to comply with the AMLD5 rules. The registration regime, on the other hand, would be less effective, as it only allows for a limited substantive assessment of these parties. Secondly, the authorities have also recommended that the European regulatory framework for corporate funding should be amended to enable blockchain-based development of small and medium-sized enterprises, and to enable the use of crypto assets like shares or bonds, Once again, thought I'd skim over it, if you will. We have another country who is now coming forward talking about that they are planning a way to essentially legalize cryptocurrencies within their country. And many countries around the world haven't finalized their rules for cryptocurrencies. So the fact that we're getting news about this is pretty nice. I feel like that governments have to say things like this out loud. Kind of just my opinion. When they talk about that cryptos can be a high financial crime risk, what have you. You kind of know the world that we live in. The point is, this is going to happen, and I don't think that it's random. Once again, just in my opinion, that we have the Netherlands Central Bank talking about regulating cryptocurrencies and creating something as quick as possible to be able to allow these things happening in the country. Same thing with Romania, and then also tying into the UN, also talking about that digital currencies are a new frontier. It's all adding up. Everyone is trying their darndest to move as quick as possible to allow the legalization of cryptocurrencies within their country. And it's kind of refreshing. 2018 was a very annoying year because you, me, all of us knew that I felt like all of these countries had these paperworks and these ideas in their heads, on their desks already. And I think they were trying to wait for other countries to kind of come forward and give their own idea of what they were going to do with cryptocurrencies, knowing gosh darn well that they knew exactly what they planned on doing. So it's nice to see that they are kind of getting onto it and helping to move crypto along. At least that's kind of my opinion. To kind of finish things off, prices aren't doing too bad. They're moving up at least a little tiny bit. There was some type of I don't remember exactly what it was. People were talking about that Bitcoin Cash was moving up. I have not seen anything at the moment. It is only 10 o'clock in the morning here as to why the prices of Bitcoin Cash are moving up, or even that of EOS. Maybe they're mimicking each other. Maybe it's because Bitcoin Cash passed by EOS and therefore they're trying to have a little tug of war. Anyway, nothing else seems to be substantially going up, but the fact is that prices are in the green, which is very, very nice to see. A very, 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 very special thanks to my Patreon supporter, Vlad the Impaler. I do appreciate you, and you still have a piece of my eternal gratitude now and forever. Hope you all enjoyed Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great idea, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. I do appreciate all of your support, more than you could possibly begin to think about, imagining about. Doesn't make sense. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And my goodness, what in the world is happening over here? For those who aren't looking at the screen and who may be driving or jogging down the street, please continue to pay attention to what you are doing. Beam, for some reason, has shot up by 45%, and Waves is also up by 25%. I will obviously comb through the interwebs to try and figure out exactly why this is happening. It could just be pure hype. Beam has been around for about 2 weeks. I don't assume that anything hyper significant should have happened that would have pushed the price up like this. That's kind of insane, especially over a 24-hour period. Something is amiss. Anyway, thank you all once again for watching and listening, and I will most certainly talk to you all soon. See you.